It's the Tom Osborne Show with two-time national championship coach, Tom Osborne. The Tom Osborne Show is sponsored in part by Grubb & Ellis Pacific Realty. And now, here's your host, Bill Dolman.
Hi again, everybody. I'm Bill Dolman, and welcome to the Tom Osborne Show. Have we got something to show you today? Saturday, top-ranked Nebraska traveled to Columbia to take on a Missouri team that ranks as one of the most improved teams in the country. It was a perfect setting, great football weather, great crowd on hand, and what they saw was the Huskers and Tigers battle for more than 60 minutes in a game that will be talked about for a long, long time. In the end, it was Nebraska in overtime who survived the battle with an incredible 45-38 victory, one that included one of the great finishes that you will ever see. So get your VCRs ready. But before we get to the game, let's hear from Husker head coach Tom Osborne. Tom, you've obviously seen a lot in your 251 career victories. Have you ever been involved in a game or a finish like that before?
Well, I don't think I've ever been involved in a game, Bill, player, coach, whatever, where it was that tight and we were that close to getting beat and still won. I saw Oklahoma on 2 or 3 occasions maybe pull one out, but that was probably the tightest finish we've ever had and still win it. So very gratifying. The players didn't seem to lose hope. They kept trying, and we were able to pull it off.
It was almost like a Hollywood movie. Well, Matt Davison and Octavius McFarland will join us a little bit later on, but first stay right where you are. We'll kick off the Huskers and the Tigers right after this. In the old days when Nebraska and Missouri got together in football, you could bank on it being an epic back-and-forth battle of smash-mouth football. And since the early 1980s, it's been all Huskers who had won 18 in a row in the series coming into today's ball game against the Missouri Tigers. But with Missouri knocking on the door of the nation's top 25, this year's game figured to be a bit different. And as it turned out, Missouri may well be one of the most improved teams in the country.
Well, I think the last 3-4 weeks they've really played awfully well, and we don't feel that they're the same team that started out the season. They certainly ran the ball well and threw the ball well. And on the first series, we really had some problems. Here's Corby Jones. We tackled him here for a gain of only 1. That was Octavius McFarland on one of many of his tackles. And I think we were blitzing on that particular play.
Does it help that you run the option as well in defending the option?
Well, it didn't today, although they didn't hurt us that much with the option plays. And now this was a situation here where we do a good job again of stopping Jones for a gain of only 1. And again, Octavius McFarland makes the play here. And we sent the rush end upfield, taking the pitch away. We're trying to make Jones carry the ball, and sometimes it worked, and sometimes he went in and carried it. And this is one of those occasions here where he hurts us. He takes off scrambling, and we stopped him short of the first down, but he was awfully close. It was brought up a 3rd down and 1.
It was a 3rd down and 14. This was after a 4th down and 1. They do make it.
And this was a play-action pass, and we just had times when we had guys running way too open, and that was to Eddie Brooks, gain of 34 yards. And now he throws a deep ball here, and a good job of coverage by Ralph Brown, and the ball was overthrown. And then on this play, we had Jones in the backfield, but didn't make the tackle, and he breaks out of there and makes a nice run down the sideline and scores a gain of 17. And I guess he was just short, but they score very easily here with Brock Olivo on an isolation play. So. The bad thing was that they held the ball a long time. They had the ball for, I think, over 5 minutes, almost 6 minutes. And there they blitzed the corner. The throw was just short. And I think Scott Frost had a guy right in his face. Now it's a 3rd down play, 3rd and long. We got some good blocks out in front. Amon Green ran hard and gained 10. That was 3rd and 8.
When a team holds the ball as much as they did on their opening drive, which was more than 5.5 minutes, does that take you out of a sync at all?
Well, the difficult thing was their fans were already fired up. Their team already had confidence, and then that just really put them right back in a situation where it was going to be very emotional. It was going to be hard all day long after that opening drive.
But you did answer back with a pretty impressive drive of your own.
Scott Frost there on a nice option play, gain of 13. And it looked like both teams at times did the same thing. That was take the pitch away and make the quarterback carry the ball. But both quarterbacks were such good runners it didn't make much difference. Now a little shovel pass here. Mon Green just barely gets tripped up. It could have gone for even a bigger gain, but we gained 9. And now Scott on a 3rd and 1 picks up 4 yards and a first down. So we're coming right back down the field here. Now an option play, and Mon Green gets a nice gain around the right side and a gain of 18. And good blocking out in front. Receivers did a good job, and on that particular play also our right guard John Zadiska was doing a good job on the. And then now Scott runs a draw play and does a nice job getting up over the top, gain of 16. So we answer right back with an 11 play drive and going 74 yards and tying the score 7-7. And that really ate up a good part of the first quarter, those 2 drives. They held the ball, and then we came back and held it, and there's only 5 minutes left.
And one of the things that Missouri did in the ball game was they snapped the football at 2 seconds, 1 second to go, in the 25-second clock to shorten the game.
They were trying to run time off the clock and keep us off the field. Now Jones does a good job, but on consecutive plays, he's tackled. Here's a loss of 7. That was Eric Johnson on the play, and Jay Foreman tackled him for a gain of 2 on the first down play. So we do a good job, and this was one of the few times that we really held them for negative yardage. And so on 4th down and 12, they're forced to punt from deep in their own territory, and we're going to get pretty good field position.
They had problems in their special teams, at least on the punts.
Yeah, their punting was not good. I think they used 2 different punters during the day. This was a short punt. And so we get the ball back about the 42, 43-yard line. Pitch play here. Amon juggled the ball just a little bit, then gathered it in, and nice blocking out front. John Zadiska pulling, Eric Anderson blocking their defensive tackle. Joel Makovic getting a linebacker, and a gain of 15.
Did you have an idea going into the game that you were going to be able to move the ball fairly well on their defense?
Well, the strongest part of their football team was their offense, and so we felt we would have to move it against their defense. Joel Makovic picks up 8 there. Now on a play that's been very consistent for us all year long. We don't run it much. A quarterback keep pass off of a trap action, and Scott picks up 11. Good blocks downfield, and does a good job of running over the defensive back. You know, at one point last year, Scott wouldn't have made that run, breaking that tackle, and he's really improved in that regard. Now on a quarterback sneak, Scott takes it in from 1 yard out, and we take the lead again, 14-7. And at this point, I thought, well, maybe we're going to get on track here. We're going to start stopping them, and this is going to end up like we want it to. We didn't get a very good kickoff here, and it was low, and they had some good kickoff returns. And this is really bad here, in that we had the game in pretty good shape, and then let them get field position on our side of the 50-yard line. Now, ball is deflected, knocked down. And so that was incomplete on first down, but they come right back, and we missed a couple tackles here. And what should have been about 11-yard gain turned into a 28-yard gain. That was Jay Murchison who caught the ball, and Eric Warfield who eventually made the tackle.
And the momentum you had from your touchdown started to go away a little bit. Well, we've got the makings of a thriller. After one, Nebraska leads at 14-7. Stay with us. We'll come back in a moment with a look at the second quarter next. Welcome back to the Tom Osborne Show. The Huskers have a 14-7 lead, but as we go to the second quarter, the Tigers have regained the momentum. They've got great field position, and they're about to strike quickly here as we open up the second quarter of play.
Good crowd on hand, and the sun eventually came out. And now Corby Jones on a play-action pass is able to find a receiver wide open. He went in motion and then cut back, and we just didn't have him covered, and so they complete the pass for 18 yards and a touchdown. Now we come back, and Scott Frost gets some nice running room around the right side, gain of 15. That was a 2nd and down and 5 play. And you see the defensive end goes upfield, and so Scott was forced to keep the ball, and but the 15-yard gain, of course, resulted. Now, in this case, play-action pass, Scott went to his first read, and that was covered. That was Bobby Newcomb, and came back to Sheldon Jackson on a backside flag pattern. This was a pattern that we had not run before, and just put in for this particular game, and it was a gain of 15, and another first down.
And now on a 3rd down and 2 play. And Tom, you had tremendous success on 3rd down the entire day. 13 of 17 on 3rd down conversions.
Well, that's one of the better 3rd down conversion days I guess we've had in a long time. And this was a 21-yard gain, very well blocked out in front. Aaron Taylor out in front blocking the safety man. I was telling Turner Gill after the game, I think the only game I can remember that was better maybe on 3rd downs was down at Auburn when Turner was playing. And I don't know what we had, but we had a phenomenal percentage. And there Joel Makovic gains 4. Now Scott, on an option play, scores easily, but we were moving. And so it looked like we were maybe going to be in trouble here because that was a 3rd down play. Now it's 3rd down and 7. They run a trap play right up the middle, and Amon Green breaks it cleanly. And it's kind of an unconventional call on 3rd down and 7, but we caught him in a stunt. I think they were looking for either an option or a pass of some kind. And so Amon goes in very easily, and we're back on top, 21-14.
Another long drive, 9 plays, 71 yards, more than 4 minutes off the clock. Nebraska with a 7-point lead, and the Tigers come back right back with 10 minutes to go in the first half. Jones here to Ricky Ross.
Well, that was another gain of 15. Seemed like an awful lot of 10, 15, 20-yard gains in the ball game. There's a nice defensive play. That was Mike Brown who broke up the pass, hitting the receiver just as the ball arrived. And that was a play-action pass that they really hurt Colorado on badly a week ago. Now they're back in the shotgun, and Corby Jones throws the ball deep, and you see Ralph Brown just tripping right there at the last and falling down. The footing in the middle of the field was not very good. It was somewhat difficult. It wasn't an unplayable field, and I don't know that they had tremendous advantage. It was just one of those things that was a little difficult. Now, see great pressure there on Corby Jones, and he's sacked by Mike Rucker and Grant Wistrom for a loss of 6.
A couple of Missouri natives meeting at the quarterback.
Well, those guys really play hard, and I know they wanted to make something happen in this particular game. And there, Mike Brown hits a levo after he picked up 11 yards, and Missouri goes for the field goal at that point. They were 4th and 2, and so the field goal attempt is good, and that made the score 21-17. And we're getting pretty well along in the second quarter at this point.
That was a 39-yard field goal, by the way, by Scott Nickman, a 9-play drive for Missouri. And here come the Huskers again with 5 minutes to go in the first half. And Amon Green ran tremendously hard all day. He had 189 yards.
Yeah, he got a lot of yards after contact, and this was probably the longest Amon has played, the most plays at that tempo. So I was very proud of him. And that was an 18-yard gain on a draw play. Now Amon comes back and picks up 5 before the linebacker catches him, and that was a first down play. So now we're at the Missouri 48, and Scott breaks a tackle and goes around the left side for a gain of 12, and the ball came loose, and the official blew it dead at that point. And you see the ball coming loose right there. The defender tried to strip it out, and whether Scott was down or not, I really can't see, but it was close.
They ruled him out of bounds on that play. So
now
the drive continued.
Now we had a real problem in that we had miscommunication on our pass blocking. So we let a guy go free right up the middle of the formation, right in Scott's face, and at that point I think he was throwing the ball somewhat blind, and then we got a dead ball foul tacked on, and I don't know exactly what happened there. But
why not keep running at him in that situation?
Well, we just felt that we needed to mix in a play once in a while. We thought the pass play was there. We probably, certainly, if I had to do it over again, if I knew we were going to throw an interception, I wouldn't. But we had some big pass plays during the day, too. And so they come back and very quickly score. And that really turned the game around. That was a big momentum shift at that point. So now we're a pretty good return here by Joe Walker, who did a nice job on the returns. I think he had 7 of them now. Scott on a quarterback keeper, a gain of about 8 off the right side. And so now Scott rolls out, and ball's just a little bit low, intended for Kenny Cheatham. And so the ball went over to Missouri at that point. We needed to get a first down, and we didn't.
And now we're inside 2 minutes to play in the first half, and it looks like you might get a chance to get the football back.
Well, that was a good job there by Mike Rucker, putting great pressure on Corby Jones and sacking him. And So that was a real big play for us. Now another play defensively where we come up with the ball, but I think they ruled it dead. Now Corby Jones trying to escape, and again, great pressure and another sack. And so they're not able to move it, and they have to punt the ball away. And another
terrible punt.
Another bad punt. So we got the ball with pretty good field position here, and so that Scott is able to throw the ball out to Kenny Cheatham on the sideline, and Kenny wisely gets out of bounds, gain of about 7 or 8. Now in an option play, we pitch the ball to Amon Green, and he gets around the right side for a nice gain.
And that stopped the clock, but this play to Kenny Cheatham, he stays in bounds, and the Huskers lost 11 seconds of time, and then on the last play of the half, the fumble on the snap.
Well, we're kind of rushing to get the play off, and we didn't handle the snap from center, and so instead of getting a field goal, we were trying to throw one more pass. We thought we had enough time. I think there was 12 seconds, 13 seconds. We were going to throw one in the end zone and then kick the field goal. But we just mishandled the snap, and of course there was nothing we could do about it at that point. We end up going in behind.
Unfortunately, Nebraska comes up empty, but with 17 second quarter points, Missouri takes a 24-21 lead into the locker room at halftime. Now we're going to take another break from the action, but we're going to come back in a moment with our player guest. And first up, Matt Davison. It wasn't all that long ago that Matt Davison was back in his hometown of Tecumseh enjoying life as one of the top high school athletes in the state of Nebraska. Right now, he's enjoying life as one of the most popular players in the state after his miraculous catch on the final play of regulation at Missouri. He's one of several true freshmen making an impact this season, and we have Matt with us tonight. And Matt, people around the country are watching that play, and we could talk about a lot of other things this season, but tell us what happened on that final play against Missouri.
Well, as everybody knows, I guess I was just right in the right spot at the right time. You know, it was a lot of luck. I guess the Lord was looking over me, because I'm just glad it happened for all the older players and for Coach Osborne, and you know, everybody fought real hard this game, so I'm just glad it turned out the way it did.
Well, we do want to take a look at the play. It was, as I said, the final play of regulation against the Tigers. Matt, take us through these final few moments.
Well, we called the double slant, and when I first looked at Scott, he was already looking back to his right, and I guess I'm just coming into the play right there, and Chevin, I thought he was going to hit the ground right there, and the ball flipped up in the air, and I guess whoa, it might have hit the ground there. I don't even know. I don't think it hit the ground, but I just tried to make something happen, you know, and I was in the right spot at the right time.
I thought you were going to mention that we had called on the sideline to throw it to Chevin and bounce off his chest, kick in the air. And, you know, that was a planned play.
Genius play calling.
Yeah, you know, you don't want to make this sound too lucky. But anyway, that was a great catch, Matt. And you obviously, you know, really reacted well to the ball, because a lot of guys wouldn't have come up with that ball under any circumstance. And you've had a great year as a true freshman. And did you plan when you came down here this year to play as a freshman, or did you just hope maybe you get a chance?
Well, I don't think you can come to a program like this and really expect to step in and play right away. It's just something you can just work as hard as you can and try to give yourself a chance to play. But, you know, coming here, I didn't know if I was going to redshirt or not, and few things fell my way with injuries and whatnot. So when it was my turn to step in, I just tried to make the most of it.
You sure have, and you've shown a lot of maturity, and you catch the ball well, and you're a really good athlete, so we've been very pleased. And of course, like you mentioned, we had one or two guys hurt early, Sean Weeding and then John Gibson, and that really depleted us somewhat at the receiver spot. So you've stepped in nicely and been a real big part of whatever success we've had. So thanks for being in the right place at the right time tonight.
Yep.
Well, Matt, you had 63 catches at Tecumseh High School. I'm not sure you'll ever have a bigger catch in your career, but let's hope you have one, or at least in the right spot at the right time again.
All right.
That's Matt Davison. Thanks for being with us. When we come back, we'll be joined by linebacker Octavius McFarland right after this. Coming out of high school, Octavius McFarland had a reputation for being one of the biggest hitters in the state of Texas. At Nebraska, he's lived up to that billing, especially since moving to the will linebacker spot. Saturday against Missouri, he had one of his best days as a Husker, leading Nebraska with 8 total tackles, including 6 solo stops. Octavius is with us this week. Now, Octavius, you didn't have the big catch in the ball game, but you made several big plays. Have you ever been in a game like what took place in Columbia on Saturday?
No, I haven't. That was the closest game I ever been in.
Me too. I've probably been in a few more than you have, but that's about as close as you can come and win and not get beat. But anyway, we were talking a little bit earlier before we got on the show here about the field, and how did you feel the footing affected your play and the play of the defense and so on?
It wasn't that good of a footing. In the middle of the field wasn't really grass. It was like sand, spray painted green, and you had to watch how you plant so you could get good footing.
It's kind of coming out in big chunks too, and then they said they put the chunks back in, then they'd be loose. And
yeah,
kind of reminded me a little bit of the Orange Bowl 3-4 years ago. We were down there, just a pile of sand, and they spray painted, and it looks pretty good. Yeah. But anyway, overall, you sure had a great day as far as tackles, and they had some pretty big backs, didn't they? The fullback was a big guy. Did you run into him at all?
Yeah, I ran into him once on the ISO. It was pretty good, good competition.
And Corby Jones, a little quicker than I thought he was. I knew he had good speed, but he looked like he was kind of hard to pen up.
Yeah, he was real fast. He broke one play in Irwin real fast, and he had to turn it into like a track meet to get him.
Now, you started out when you came here as a defensive back, and then they made the move to linebacker. Has that been a good move for you? Was it difficult? Or?
I think it was the best move because I like to be right up there in the action, and being at the wheel put me right there.
You're not the biggest guy in the world. What do you weigh now? And do you feel like you're at a disadvantage size-wise, or?
Nah, I ain't at a disadvantage because Coach teaches a lot of things with our hands.
You're about 195, 200?
200.
200. Well, you pack a lot of punch. You made some great plays today. And what are you majoring in right now?
Sociology.
What do you want to do when you're done?
Well, right now I'm leaving it open to see what I can go into.
Just want to be the president or something.
I don't want to be that. I don't want that kind of responsibility.
Okay.
Well, at least you've lived up to your responsibility today against Missouri. Again, 8 tackles, 6 solos. A great game today, Octavius.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.
That's Octavius McFarland. He and Matt Davison have been our guests this week. We'll take another break and come back with the third quarter highlights in just a moment. Welcome back to the show with Tom Osborne. I'm Bill Dolman. Missouri leads top-ranked Nebraska 24-21 as we head into the third quarter highlights. Missouri won the toss and took the ball to begin the game. Therefore, Nebraska would receive the ball beginning the second half. And Tom, I guess that's a cliche question, but what did you tell your team at halftime?
Well, I just told them to maintain their poise. We're doing all right. Just don't get panicky. And we get a great return here by Joe Walker. Joe gets us out over the 50-yard line, actually down to the Missouri 42-yard line. So that was great field position to start second half. It looks like we're going to really get some momentum here. And you see a good block there by Chevin Wiggins, who's up in front of him. And I think on all of the kickoffs, Joe ended up fielding the ball. He tried to kick it down that right hash all the time. Now, first play here, Ahman Green runs very hard. Got hit after maybe only 2 yards, but gained 5. And so now third down and 4. And Scott Frost does a nice job on the running around the right side on an option and picks up a gain of 8. Now Scott again for a gain of 4. And then we're going to have a disaster here. The pitch was not handled there, and the ball was loose right on the sideline. I was hoping that they would rule it out of bounds, but they gave it to Missouri. They came up with the football.
And you had the ball all the way down to the Missouri 18-yard line. The Tigers take over first and 10 at their own 14.
Well, the turnover just really hurt us. We had 3 and they had 1. Levo gained 0 on the first play, and then gains 4 there on the option. Now there they throw a flag on Erwin Sweeney. I guess they ruled that the receiver's knee was down, but there's no way Erwin could know that. It looked like the receiver was continuing to try to run with the ball.
And that was a gain of 13 on a third down and 6 play.
13, but then a 15-yard penalty on top of it. So they got great field position out to the midfield, and they're gain of only 1. Now good pass coverage there, incomplete pass, and now Corby Jones on the sort of quick kick thing gets a great punt. in a great roll that goes down to just inside the 1 yard line. Now, second down play, Scott does a nice job here. He hits Bobby Newcomb right in the numbers, and Bobby momentarily juggled it and then pulled it in. That was a gain of 33, and that got us off the goal line, because if you don't get off that goal line with a big play in some way, it's just kind of hard to get any movement, and then you're going to punt the ball, and they're going to have the ball back near midfield.
That gave Nebraska the field position back at the 33-yard pickup, now at the 35-yard line. Amon Green picks up 6 yards.
Well, it was a trap play right up the middle. Now a pitch play to Amon, and Amon is able, it's 3rd and 1 there, gets 2, picks up first down. And now a play-action pass, and we throw a screen back to Amon. And Amon's got some nice blocks out there. It looked for a minute like he was going to go all the way, and then the defensive back caught up with him. But that was a gain of 39 yards on the screen play. You see Lance Brown cracking back here and blocking the linebacker. And then we got, I think that was Matt Hoskinson out there in front. And also should have had possibly one of the guards out there. It should have been Aaron Taylor blocking. Now Scott on a quarterback keep play, and a gain of 8, and that got us down inside the 3 or 4 yard line. Now Scott goes in from 1 yard out.
We want to take a look at that one more time. The Missouri fans thought that this was a fumble, but Scott was stretching the ball into the end zone. The ball hit the ground and it came up. A lot of people in red thought it was a touchdown.
Well, yeah, it's one of those things you just hold your breath because you don't know quite how they're going to call it. But it looked like the ball did come loose when it hit the ground, and it looked like it hit the ground maybe over the end zone. Here Scott sneaks in easily from 1 yard out.
And remember, this drive started at the half-yard line, so a 10-play, 99.5-yard drive took 4.5 minutes and gave Nebraska the lead 28-24. That was one of 4 touchdowns on the day for Scott Frost. And again, the kickoff problems continue. Here's a 62-yard return.
Yeah, it looked like we were in good shape here, and we just do a poor job. Missed a tackle there, and then didn't cover, missed another tackle. And as a result, they've got great field position, and they're right back in the ball game again. Now Corby Jones on a play-action pass does a nice job there of hitting Eddie Brooks for a gain of 15 and a Missouri first down at the Nebraska 20. Now Jones on an option play picks up 3. Jay Foreman made the tackle. Now another play-action pass, and they dumped the ball to the fullback out in the flat, and Blackwell, gain of 8, and got another first down, and so now they're at about the 6 yard line. Now Corby Jones got some blocks. He was looking to throw back, and they rule this a touchdown. He gets over the top and was hit very hard at the goal line, but gets in from about 7 yards out. You see he was trying to throw back to his left, and then when the receiver was covered, he took off, and it looked like the ball might have come loose, but they must have ruled it was over the goal line.
And again, that was on a 3rd down and goal play from the 6 yard line. So the 6 yard touchdown run gives Missouri a 31-28 lead after 3 quarters of play. The two teams trade 3rd quarter touchdowns, and as a result, Missouri still has a 3-point lead with 15 minutes remaining, or so we thought. The highlights of a dramatic 4th quarter are next. It was a score that no doubt had heads turning all across the country when they heard Missouri was leading top-ranked Nebraska 31-28, and it was a score that had the sellout crowd of more than 66,000 in the regional television audience, no doubt on the edge of its collective seat. And as the 4th quarter begins play time, you've got the football, and you've got to play comeback or come from behind football here in the 4th quarter.
Well, Scott Frost on the first play gained 5, and then Amon Green on the 2nd down and 5 gained 8 around the right side on a nice pitch play. Now Scott on an option decides to keep the ball, and a gain of 11. And quite often, as we mentioned earlier, they did not make him pitch the ball. Rather, they tried to play Amon on the pitch and made Scott carry it. Scott took a pretty good beating. You know, he got hit a lot during the day and ended up with a thigh bruise, but I think he'll be okay. Now a play-action pass, and we're trying to hit Joel Makovic. Joel was held as he broke through the line of scrimmage, and they didn't call it. And so as a result, we lose a down of any productivity there. And now Scott on 3rd and 7 gained 3, but came up short. Nice kick here by Chris Brown, coming in there and making a field goal from 44 yards out. There was very little wind, so it wasn't much of a factor in the kicking game.
That was a 10-play drive, and that 44-yard field goal was a season-long for Chris and gave him his 10th straight field goal made. And now the Huskers on defense have to come up with a stop, and Jones is incomplete.
Well, there we were hoping to get a call on their receiver, but we didn't get it. Now, here we took the pitch, and Corby Jones runs around the right side. The ball came loose, but we didn't get it. And now in another option, we do a little better job of playing him. And he gained 34 yards on that one keeper. There was no gain. Tony Ortiz on the play. Now we have people there, but we're just not able to make the play. And Jones gets a nice run of 6 around the right side. That was 3rd and 5, so we picked up a first down. Now another opportunity, and we this time sack him. And that was a great play there by Grant Wistrom, and a loss of 11 yards on the play.
And Grant, by the way, was named as one of 4 finalists for the Lombardi Award given to the nation's top lineman. That was announced on Saturday as well. So he had a pretty good day on a day that he got a big announcement. Now 3rd down and 14 for the Tigers.
Well, here's a pass that's deflected, and Joe Walker makes a nice interception on the sideline. He was almost out of bounds, but managed to stay in bounds. I don't know exactly who tipped the ball. I think one of our linebackers got a hand on it. And so we finally get a turnover. And so we came out minus for the day. Now we're trying to hit Joel Makovica. And the ball bounces off of Sheldon Jackson here. Was a little bit behind him, but certainly a catchable ball. And so we turn it right back over to him. And that really hurt, because that was a 2nd down and 9, and we needed to move the ball and make something good happen. And so the turnover that we got from Missouri really didn't hurt them, because we turned it back over.
And with the score tied now at 31 all, Missouri has tremendous field position at the Nebraska 30 when they begin this drive with 6.5 minutes to go in the game.
Well, that was a 3rd down and 2, and Brock Olivo was able to pick up 7 and get the first down. And here's a receiver that's, again, really wide open. They were at the Nebraska 15-yard line, play-action pass, and Jones passes to Brooks for the 15 yards, and now we ran a little shovel pass. And, of course, everybody got excited thinking that was a fumble. It's a forward pass. It's just an incomplete pass. Now Scott on an option play around the left side here, and a gain of 5. But we needed more than that, and ended up having to punt it away. And this is really a good punt. Jesse Cush only punted twice on the day, and we have good coverage. I think there's only a return there of about 3 or 4 yards. And so that kind of put them back in the hole. And now they pick up 1. Jason Peter makes the tackle. Now an off-tackle trap play, and Blackwell gets 7. So that brought up that was a 3rd down and short, and then they had a penalty, and they got the sprinklers going there too. The field was damp enough as it was.
It seemed like when it was raining, it was pouring on you, and you also had to use your timeouts on this drive.
Well, we sure did, and there Corby Jones makes a gain of 14, and that play there I thought might have done it to us. I thought, well, we haven't got much chance now. And West now gains 6. Jason Wiltz made the play. And but now we come back and do a little better. We do a good job of stopping Jones. That was a 3rd down and 3, and so no gain, and they're forced to punt it away. But in the meantime, we've used up all of our timeouts, and a nice return here by Bobby Newcomb. Kind of gets us off, gets us started. We're not starting back at our own 20. We're out at the 33-yard line. Now Scott Frost rolls out, and he hits Kenny Cheatham on an out and up. And Kenny is able to pull the ball in, and a gain of 27. And this was a huge play for us, because at this point we were under a minute left, no timeouts, and Kenny catches a pass for 27 yards and also gets out of bounds, which was equally important.
Now 3rd down and 10 at the Missouri 40 as you move into Missouri territory.
Well, a nice throw there. That was to Matt Davison for a 13-yard gain. And unfortunately, Matt wasn't able to stay up and get out of bounds, but we got the first down, so they stopped the clock. Now we go back to the other side, and this time he hits Kenny Cheatham. And again, Kenny, if the ball is thrown low enough that he's not able to get out of bounds, so we end up having to stop the clock. And now
we're in the final 20 seconds of the game.
Okay, and this time they ruled that one in also, and it looked like he might have fallen out of bounds, but they said his knee was down in bounds, so the clock keeps rolling there. And so we're having to use plays here to kill the clock. And now we go to, this is an incomplete pass here. And looked like Matt thought he was going to get an interference call, but he didn't get it. So now Scott comes back, hits Chevin Wiggins right at the goal line. The ball pops up. Matt Davison dives in and makes the catch. And, of course, that was kind of a miraculous finish. The ball was well thrown. It looked like it hit Chevin. I don't know whether he was hit early or not, but the ball was knocked loose, came off his foot, and then Matt Davison came in and made the reception. And Larry Smith can't believe it, and I can understand maybe how he might feel. But so we had some, we had some bad luck, but we had some awfully good luck here at the end.
Great luck there at the end, and also, what's not to be forgotten, Chris Brown had to make the PAT to send it into overtime. Well, it was an incredible finish to regulation, but we are not done yet. Stay with us as we go to overtime with a look at the overtime finish and the post-game celebration right after this. Thanks to Nebraska's last-minute heroics and Matt Davidson's incredible catch, the game of the year in college football went into overtime. And in lieu of our regular feature segment, we thought we'd take you play-by-play through the extra frame, and we didn't think that you would mind too much. Now, Missouri won the toss and elected to give you the ball first.
Usually in an overtime, the team that wins the toss will go on defense, so they know what they have to do. Now, we came with a sprint option on the first play, and got a good gain of 9 yards around the right side. And, of course, we start at the 25-yard line, so we're at the 16 after this play. And got good blocks out in front there. Lance Brown doing a nice job, and also I think maybe Kenny Cheatham or Matt Davison were out there. Now a little counter trap play, a relatively short gain of 4, but that was 2nd and 1, so it got us a first down. And now Scott keeps the ball on an option and makes a great play there at the goal line, jumping in from about 5 yards out. And so that was a huge play there. A well-blocked option there. You see Eric Anderson coming around. A good block by Matt Davison on the outside. And so we score from 12 yards. So with the ensuing extra point, we're up 7-0, and that means Missouri's got to score a touchdown. They can't just kick a field goal. And so they try a bootleg pass here, and pretty good coverage. And in this case here, he had the fullback open along the sideline, but just missed him. Now an option play, and a pretty good job there by our rush in, just tripping him up. That was Chad Kelsey, gain of only 3.
This may have been the defense's best series of the entire game, and they certainly saved their best for
last.
Well,
it came in a good time. Now Corby Jones is trying to throw the ball back on a play action here, and pretty good coverage there by Octavius McFarland, and covering the tight end on the crossing pattern. And this was really a big play because this was 3rd down and 7.
The ball actually was in the receiver's hands, and then when it was knocked out, otherwise would have been a first down.
Well, it looked like Octavius might have stripped the ball loose, and now a good rush here. Both defensive ends, Mike Rucker and in that case Grant Wistrom, get great penetration up the field, and the pocket just collapses on Corby Jones on 4th and 7. And that was the game. We, it seemed, it almost seemed like it shouldn't be over. It seemed like it had been going on forever and was so close, and then all of a sudden it was just over. And so I know it had to be a devastating loss for Missouri because it looked like they had things well in hand there at one point, and were able to pull it off. And so we did a lot of good things in the game. I don't think that should be minimized. We showed a lot of heart. We kept moving the ball, and we made some big plays on defense when we needed to. But we certainly had some things also that we need to correct.
Well, the celebration in the locker room was reminiscent of the national championship in the Orange Bowl a couple of years ago. Tears of joy even shed in the locker room. What did you tell the team?
Well, I just told them I was proud of them. I was really proud of the fact that they hung in there like they did and kept their poise. And I think that everybody pulled together, and certainly everybody had a part in the win. And so I don't know. I'm sure some people are going to treat it like we lost, but we played a very good team on our home field under difficult circumstances and made enough mistakes to get beat, but still didn't get beat. And sometimes you have to win a game like that during the year.
Well, it was incredible and it was unforgettable. Nebraska's national championship hopes are still alive with a 45-38 overtime win over Missouri. And Tom and I will come back to close out the show right after this. Nebraska is now 9-0, 6-0 in Big 12 conference play. And next up for Nebraska, believe it or not, it's the final home game of the year as the Huskers take on Iowa State. Game time for that one is 11:30 on Saturday for regional television. Tom, good luck, but not so close next time.
Thanks for that. We'll use all the luck we can get.
That's all the time we have for this week's show. Make sure you join us next week for all of the highlights of Nebraska and Iowa State right here on the Tom Osborne Show. So now for the coach and our Husker Vision crew, I'm Bill Wellman. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Tom Osborne's wardrobe has been provided by Gary Michaels Clothiers. The Tom Osborne Show was sponsored in part by Grubb & Ellis Pacific Realty.